former teacher. Questions make me feel like people are paying attention, so don't be shy. And what I find makes the biggest difference in having a referral-worthy client process is making sure that people know what is going on. You know that feeling when you go to like a hotel or an Airbnb or somewhere you haven't been before, and you try to turn on the shower and you're just like, I don't even know how this thing works. Like I use one of these every single day, but I'm so confused. That is the opposite of how we want clients to feel when they're working with you. So what I'm hoping is that today you'll leave with at least one new idea to implement in your client process somewhere, and then bonus points if that's something that can be automated-ish. And I say that because, yeah, absolutely, Amy, I'm happy to share the slides. Automated-ish. So sometimes when people hear automation, they back away and they're like, I don't want to automate anything in my business because I don't want it to feel robotic. I don't want it to feel canned, like I'm here for the relationship. And I completely agree with you. Like that's the beauty of email. That's the beauty of the CRM, is that we're building that relationship, and we can use automation to help us do that, not to replace us. So that's kind of where we're headed. All right, let's dive in. Okay, so I'm thinking first about those initial touch points that we have with clients at the beginning of our processes. And for a lot of us, I'm guessing it's pretty similar in that we have some kind of proposals, contracts, invoices that are going out at the beginning. So here are a few things that you can do at the beginning to make it something that they're going to want to tell other people, like, oh my gosh, you have to talk to this person, is first of all, share the roadmap. Like, where are we going with this? So what is the next step? I find it's helpful to lay out, especially in that those first pieces of communication, those first emails, your proposal, like be very explicit, over-explain. I'm going to send you this proposal. Once you accept it, the contract is going to automatically pop up. Then once you sign that, you'll be ready to pay your deposit. You're going to be paying on this type of schedule. Just give them the biggest welcome that you can with all of the details to share that roadmap. And then the second thing would be to make those first steps easy, really easy. Give them the link. Give them the link again. Give them the link again. You know, let them know. One of my favorite tricks here is if I've sent a proposal, let's say, and then I'm following up on that proposal, I always include, hey, search this subject line in your inbox to find the proposal again. Like, make it feel so simple, because when that happens and we feel like, yes, I know what's going on, I feel confident, like then we want to do more of it and tell people about it. Also, one of my favorite tricks at the beginning of this relationship is to lay your surprise and delight groundwork early. So maybe you send client gifts. This is a great time to ask them about preferences like coffee or tea. Do you like beachy smells or floral smells? Do you, ask any of those questions here at the beginning when we're starting that relationship, doing a lot of that intake stuff, so that then later on down the line, you can surprise them with something that is perfect for them. One caveat here too, if you're working with international clients, I would be very sure that, like, one of the questions I would ask early is if they would like to receive physical items from you, because I've had international clients end up having to go to customs and pay customs on gifts that they didn't ever ask for or really want. So that's just a little side tip, to again make that seamless. But the more you can lay that groundwork of like getting to know them at the beginning, the better. And then something on the invoice side, like, link your W-9 in the footer of every invoice you send. Clients are going to need your W-9. Like, why not just give it to them every time? Make it easy to find. Because again, the point that we're trying to make here, or that I try to make here at the beginning, is like, you've chosen the right person. I'm going to take care of you, and I have a plan. Because I think we've all felt that doubt when you invest in something and then you're like, did I make the right decision? Like, yes, we want to be sure that they did. That's awesome, Max. Yeah, the welcome packet. Perfect. Great way to set that up. Anybody else have any thoughts, questions on this first little set?
I have a question. So do you send out like a survey? Is that what you mean when you like lay the groundwork? Do you send out a questionnaire? Is that what that means?
I actually do mine in the proposal itself. You could totally send it as a separate questionnaire, but I know one of the things that I've learned just from how I've set up my own process, and everybody's is different, is that I can guarantee clients are going to read the proposal, the contract, and the invoice. I guarantee it. Some of those like welcome questionnaires, like maybe they will, maybe they won't. And I don't really want to spend my energy tracking that down. So I try to embed those questions in these things that I know they're going to see. But yeah, so it's like a little mini questionnaire inside the proposal. Ooh, I like that. Yep, page on your website to explain your process. I know, and it can be so difficult, I think, to lay out all the steps in the process because it's so natural for us. We know exactly what we're going to be doing and when, but for the client, that can be challenging. Something else that I found has made a difference for me is in that timeline where I'm sharing my process, I've also broken it down into how much time they can expect that part to take and how much of that time is time for them. So like with Dubsado setups, I need so much information at the beginning. That's a big ask for a business owner. So I let them know, like, this first phase is going to take approximately a week on the calendar, and I'll need 3 hours of your time. So that way they know, also what the commitment is for them. Because as we get later in the process, it's more on me and less of their time, but that can be helpful too. Ooh, thank you for sharing that link. I'm excited to see it. All right. So then welcome packets. Okay. One big complaint I get from my clients is they say no one reads their welcome packet. I don't know if you can relate to that. You spend time making something beautiful, you send it out, and then it seems like nobody retained anything from it. So a couple tips here, again, to make that client process so seamless, like they can't help but tell people about you. Leverage your email signature. If there's Amber is a great example of this. If there's important information that you need your client to know, put it in your email signature so that they see it every time you communicate with them. If you're going to be out of town, use your email signature. If you would prefer that they, contact you between certain hours, put that in your email signature. You can also use your email autoresponder in a similar way so that when people email you, they automatically get a response. And I use mine kind of like a little bit of FAQ if I'm going to be out of town. So I'll say, hey, I'm going to be gone from this day to this day. If you need your login to Member Vault, click here. If you need to send me a message via Voxer, click here. And that way they're getting what they need to take that next step, but I don't have to have my hands on it to do that. I just think email, I try to keep client communication ideally in a project management tool, but emails where a lot of it ends up happening. And so why not leverage what's already in there, use what you're already doing to help them with that. I would also recommend, if you send a welcome packet, to have some kind of way to check their progress on that welcome packet. So for example, in Dubsado, I'll have, a section of information like these are the holidays that I observe, and then have a little checkbox for them to check it off. And then I might follow that up with a date of, what are some special days for you? Maybe that's where you want to ask about birthdays, anniversaries, something like that. It's another place you can create interaction and build relationship. Even though you're giving a bunch of information, you're also getting some from them. And it just makes it a little bit more of a two-way communication and less of a like, hey, read my thing. Then the other idea here for welcome packets that I love is following up on that information automatically. So if you're at the very beginning of your relationship with a client and it's going to take a little while, you can use follow-up emails, whether they're automated, which I love. You can even do this if you're not automating any emails yet, that come out at certain points in the process that remind them of things that you said back in the beginning in your welcome packet. One thing, there are a lot of graphic designers in here. I am not a graphic designer, so I'm a Canva user, I admit it. But they have a lot of timeline templates that I find are very helpful for this type of communication to make a graphic. They can just go in an email and say like, okay, I told you that we were going to be in 4 phases of the project. We have done phase 1. Here's what to expect in phase 2. And by the way, I'm going to be out of town for 3 weeks because I'm going on a road trip. But yeah, you can use other forms of communication to reinforce the information in your welcome packet if you're finding that that's something people are not retaining. And also it's, again, another way to build that relationship because it's very obvious what the next step is and it helps us all feel more confident. Anything else on welcome packets? Anybody have any pro tips to share? I can't tell if I'm boring you guys and way off the mark or it's just you're just soaking it all in. I guess we'll see.
Do you
Okay.
ever have clients send you welcome packets or just like
as the freelancer, I don't think that's ever happened to me before. Tell me more about that.
I work with a lot of different agencies, and so sometimes they'll send me packets and like food and stuff like that, but I guess I've never gone the other way. So I don't know. I've sent someone a mug, but that was about it. So
yeah, for sure. I definitely, this is not a hard and fast rule. I try to always send something consumable if I can, just, I don't know. And with an agency, they're probably all in different places. Like that's also more complex than when you're working one-on-one, right? Because you could be looking at like lots and lots of people and lots of gifts. Something else too, that's not like a gifty gift, but is like, I see you. So one of the questions, if we work together, one of the questions I'm going to ask you is in sync or BSB, like you got to pick one. And so that way I know what gifts to put in the emails I'm going to send you later. And if you're like, I hate both, then I guess I'll just pick my own early 2000s reference to send you. But you can kind of create like gifts using gifts, or things like that, that also build relationships, but then you don't have to send anything. All right, other thoughts on there? Sorry, I advanced a slide here. Okay, things where I see people get for their Millennium Tour. My very first concert was Backstreet Boys at Kemper Arena, 1996. It was amazing, life-changing. I would still see them again today. Okay, places where I see people's clients get stuck, mine included, that I think can be overcome. And again, help create that experience that they're just like, oh my gosh, you have to work with so-and-so. Project management tools. If you are bringing a client into like ClickUp, Trello, Asana, whatever you're using to manage the project, and they're going to be in there, it is absolutely worth it to take the time to show them how to use that tool and what that means. I use ClickUp to manage mine with dashboards. And so I'll set aside time on an early call in our process together to show exactly like, here's where everything is on the dashboard. Here is what it does, like test it out. Let me know what questions you have. Because some of them just aren't, we're just not as familiar. And I see frustrations and I hear them from clients and work with other clients that project management tools can be very tricky in that way. I'm also a huge fan of leveraging video. If a client has a question that I can't answer in a sentence or so, I will always send a Loom. So it's a free software. I will just record. If it's something that I can just talk about, I'll record just me. Oftentimes, I'm looking at a piece of software or an email, so I'll share my screen with my face in the corner answering their question. But I think that's leveraging the video brings a level of personalization that, again, it's the next step. It doesn't take that much more work on our end, but for clients, that can be a huge game changer. Personally, I always embed a video in every proposal, explaining the proposal that is contained within. If you don't review proposals with your clients live, that could be something you can consider too. Then I would also ask them for a testimonial early. I have been so guilty of not asking for a testimonial until somebody's like basically out the door, right? They've paid their final invoice. I delivered their stuff. They're like halfway down the street and I'm chasing after them like, hey, can you give me feedback on how everything went? And then they either don't respond or they only respond with information about what the end of our relationship was like. But I also want to know how they felt about stuff in the beginning, because if things are confusing, I want to be able to fix them. So this is a great place to just ask for feedback. You've done like maybe your onboarding process, like ask them for their feedback right then. And it's another great way too. You can shout them out on social or wherever you promote in that way too, because you already are starting to build your case study from the beginning. So you can let them know, hey, I want your feedback. Depending on what they say, can I feature you in what we've done so far together? Yes, that would be great. Okay. And then they're going to tag their people, which is like another passive way of getting more referrals. I love this idea in the chat of a DoorDash coupon. That's genius. Who doesn't want to order lunch? That's so good. Providing starter paragraphs for okay, yes, I like this. An idea we have is to provide starter paragraphs for testimonials, so it's easier for the clients to do. And not only that, you can make sure you're starting those testimonials with what you want them to talk about, right? Because clients may be focused on a totally different, they may not be focused on their results and their outcomes. They may be focused on some other part of the process, and you want to feature results. You can craft it in that way. I think that's so smart. Screenshots and visuals to help with your process. Yes. Another video tool is Video Ask. Yes. So tangent about Video Ask. Right now I have, an email went out to my list last week that was asking them, which better serves you? Only content about Dubsado, or would you like content about Dubsado and email marketing? So they can click a button and pick. And then that takes them to a Video Ask where it's me asking them a few more questions about what it is that they want to know. Engagement on Video Ask is really high. They can record a video back to you. They can also just type out a response to your Video Ask. But that is a great way, especially if you're trying to collect video testimonials. Like Max, it's such a good suggestion because it's very easy. You can do it on desktop. You can do it on mobile as the person responding to the Video Ask. It is free. You can also, it is free. You can also upgrade and get more complicated workflows and things like that going on behind it. But I typically use it for 3 questions max, and I've never paid for it. But Video Ask is a great tool. And again, what a great way to get more referrals from them. If you're able to, put together a Video Ask and you're like, hey, I'm looking for these types of people. Do you know anybody like that? And they're like, well, yeah, I do. And you're like, okay, do you mind if I send them a message, just asking them some more questions? Send a Video Ask over. Yeah, Wendy, I'm right there with you. When it's all done, everybody's just ready to go, right? No one wants to stick around for the testimonial. Okay. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to just barge ahead here. Okay. Other thoughts here on sticking points, welcome things. I know you all know a lot, which is awesome. And I would like to learn some more things too. Something else I wanted to mention back with email. Also, don't forget, you can ask for referrals in your email signature. A lot of my clients will have things that are our business grows on referrals. Please don't hesitate to let us know if you know of somebody who might be interested in our services. It could be that informal that it's just a line. You could link it to a form, whether you want to be as simple as a Google form or do something really fancy and branded where people can give referrals. I've also seen, I have not tried this myself, but I have received an email like this where somebody just sent me a direct email, and because I had asked them a question, they responded and they said, it's probably going to take me about 15 minutes to go through this thing, I'm totally happy to help you out with it. Do you know anybody who might use something similar, who has a similar question? And I'm like, well, yes, I do know some people with similar questions. Let me send you some names right on over. All right. Okay. This is one of my personal soapboxes about making your process referral worthy. If you are still booking calls by hey, are you free Wednesday at 3? No. Okay. How about, Thursday at 9? Please. And if you're looking to automate any part of your business, booking calls is where I would start. It's so much easier. And most of us are probably doing that already, but in case you're not, and you need the nudge, please do it. Okay. One place to make your client process stand out is your scheduling tool most likely allows you to customize the emails or at least the confirmation screens for anytime somebody books and then the reminders leading up to that appointment. In your confirmation, I think there's base level and then there's next level. Base level, remind them of what the purpose of the call is and anything that they need to bring. So if you're booking a welcome call or a kickoff call or a whatever, let them know, hey, on this call, we're going to go through our project management tool together. I'm going to set you up in whatever. And, we're going to review the roadmap for the project. You just need to bring yourself. If it's a design review call, do they need to have reviewed the files beforehand? Okay, great. When are you going to send that to them? Just let them know what to expect. Same thing with the reminders. The more you can set expectations for what's coming, the more they're going to be like, this person's so on top of it. They're so amazing. So customize those confirmations and reminders. Also, depending on what software you're using, you can also customize your confirmation messages for a lot of form submissions. Even if you're using just a Google form, you can change the message that pops up when somebody submits it to say, hey, thanks for submitting that. I'm going to do XYZ with it. You can expect to hear from me in 48 hours, whatever it is, just so they know what the next thing is. I've seen in the chat about booking. Yep, you can use Calendly. I agree. Acuity has become very clunky with Squarespace. You can, do part in your CRM, but I think Calendly is a great place to start. Also, depending on so this may be something that can be automated in your CRM. This may be something that you can automate-ish for yourself if your CRM or your booking software doesn't have this capability. But you can create your follow-up email for each type of appointment you typically encounter. So let's say that we're doing a design review of some kind. Okay, great. Then after that, I'm going to be sending an email, asking for them to fill out this form, to submit their approval, whatever the next steps are. You can have that email templated and ready to go. So all you need to do is customize a little bit of it and approve it to go out after the call. Or if you're doing it more manually, you can set up templates inside of Gmail or inside of Outlook and still just pull up the relevant template, make a few changes, and send it on out. That way, you look so on top of it with the follow-up, and you're not doing what I sometimes do and go into your sent items, search what you sent last time, copy it, paste it into something new, maybe forget to change somebody's name, and it's like a whole thing. So, if your CRM can do the template, great. And if it can't, definitely Outlook and Gmail can do that for you. All right. I like that we're moving everybody towards scheduling. This is good. But the call booking is awesome. All right. Anybody have any other tips, questions, thoughts on booking? Okay. Oh, also, sorry, one more thing in a confirmation. With these types of confirmations can also be a great place to send them to another platform. So if you book a sales call with me, you're going to get a confirmation email, just like we described. And I'm also going to invite you to follow me on Instagram to take a look and see what I've done in other clients' accounts. So this is a great way to, you don't have to point them to social necessarily. It could be to a testimonials page. It could be to your portfolio, could be anywhere. But you can also use those confirmations as other touch points to move people where you want them to go and what you want them to look at next. They're another part of the client journey that I think is sometimes overlooked, because you can pretty much guarantee people are going to see a confirmation. So you can leverage that too. Yeah.
Can I say something about what I love about the booking feature? Is I think sometimes we have really good intentions about boundaries. Like, I'm not going to take client calls on Mondays and Fridays. But then when someone's in your email and they're like, hey, can we just have a quick call on Monday at 9 a.m.? Then you almost feel bad and you don't want to say no because they give you money. But when you have the scheduling feature set up, you would just turn the days off or the times off that you want to maintain your boundaries. And then it's not your fault that you're unavailable that day, because from their perspective, they chose something that worked for them. And it's not you saying no, it's them saying yes to themselves.
I like that. I will also say, without exaggeration, I run 17 different scheduler templates at any given time for all different types of calls, so I don't take networking coffee chat type calls on Fridays, but I do take sales calls on Fridays. So you can even get it down to the point of what type of work are you doing on different days, to make those available, not available. It doesn't just have to be a blanket, not today. It can be what type and when and what time of day. And also your scheduling software will most likely allow you to put in buffer time. So if you had a call that's going to take an hour of action steps after it, you can block off not only the time for the call, but also the time after the call, which is the part I forget if I schedule by myself, that every call comes with something you have to do after. So that way you can give yourself the space. I have to protect myself from myself. I don't know if anybody else does that. I seem to think I can always create more time. It hasn't worked yet. Anything else on calls, scheduling, booking?
I feel like we also we underestimate how long things take I don't know. That's my biggest weakness is like, oh, that'll take me just like a couple hours. And then you're
Mhm.
like, yeah, I've been sitting here for 6. Cool.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
Yeah.
you know?
One of my DOO friends, like Amber, I was complaining about something similar about myself because I do the same thing. She was like, you should just do a time audit and like see what it is. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Like it was good because then I had to be more realistic. And that's what allowed me then to be smarter about my buffer times. If I'm like, okay, this is how long it really takes me to customize a proposal. This is how long it really takes me to write a client's welcome sequence. Like I am more honest with myself, but man, I was like, I'm so glad that nobody's like checking my work right now because my estimates were like 30 minutes, 24 hours later, I'm still on the same. Yeah. So I'm glad it's not just me. It's yeah. Right. And that's where automation or automated-ish processes can help save us from ourselves a little bit, where it's like providing some of that structure that I think that's something I didn't realize about being a freelancer is how much of the time would be like managing myself. And how unprepared I was for that in some ways. All right. You guys, I'm so happy to be here with you today. Other thoughts? Anything anybody else wants to share on this one? All right.
Excuse me, I did something non-digital this week, but it worked pretty well. I do invoices in Figma, and so I can do icons and stuff like that. But basically, I put a big check mark, a green check mark on the direct invoice, and just basically just smattered it, like saying these are done, and then sending it periodically so they know exactly where they're at. It just takes me like 3 minutes to do it, but it worked pretty well. So
I love that. Well, and I'm thinking if I received that, I would be calling Amber to be like, you're never going to believe this invoice I just got, because I've never gotten one like that before. Right. And that's how a lot of these like word of mouth type referrals happen, is something happens in the process that they haven't experienced before. And they're like, okay, like I need to pay more attention to what this person's doing. I love that. It would also take me so long to figure out how to do that, but I would be duly impressed. Okay, so just like ways to like keep the relationship going. I think in the beginning, everybody's on best behavior. And then if you have these relationships that last for months or years, sometimes it can be hard to like, you know, keep it fresh. So continuing to use those signposts along the way, even if it's just very broad, like here's what we're going to be doing, you know, here's what I'm going to be working on over the next month. Here's what I'm going to need from you. Like all of that is helpful. One place I see clients get stuck is with payment expectations. They're not really sure like what the schedule is supposed to be that they're paying on. Like, can they enroll in auto pay? Do they have to use the same card every time? Will you take a check? And the more you can communicate about that on the invoice itself, I think the better. If you're able to edit the header or the footer of the invoice, you know, you're already putting your W-9 in there. You can also put in some just general FAQs. And the beauty of an FAQ, even if it's only a one-person queue, is that it feels like, okay, other people have dealt with this too. It's not just me. The contract shop, I think, does a really great job of this. They have a whole video on every single product. There is a video that shows you how to check out. I haven't gone to this level on my invoices yet, but now I'm thinking maybe I should just make a loom to show people, here's how you sign up if you want me to auto bill you every month. Here's exactly what you click. Here's what's going to happen. Just make a little loom, put it in. There you go. Just the more we can front load and support, the better. And then also, please save your brain space. It's okay to use templates for things you're always sending. Something that I am guilty of is thinking I have to reinvent the wheel for everyone or completely customize everything for everyone. And nothing could be further from the truth. Like, it is okay to templatize. It is okay to use a template email to ask people for referrals. It is okay to use a template email, you know, that you send out with every different type of scheduler that you have. No one's going to mind or think less of you for doing that. I say that to myself mostly. Anything else here? Any questions, suggestions anybody has? Yeah. Oh, the templates. Email templates, so good, so helpful. I'm trying to get myself to the level of having different signature templates in Gmail. I have not done that yet, but I would like to have one for when I'm in office and one for when I'm out that are different levels of robustness. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's say you have a wait list. This is a great place to continue building relationships and even like grab some referrals. So if you have people on a wait list, I would highly recommend giving them something they can do now. So let's say that I book someone now for a Dubsado setup that starts in January. What can I give them now that they can start working on so that it doesn't feel like, okay, they paid me a deposit and now it's radio silence until they come back around. Honestly, I didn't want to have to create anything new. So the first time I ever had a wait list, I just made a list of all the things that I needed them to gather up. And I was like, please put these all in one place because this is going to be the first thing that I ask you for. It can be as simple as that. Like, give them the homework now. This is also a great place to like share a sneak peek of what you're going to be doing together. So, you know, hey, like, here's some of the stuff from the portfolio, and then ask if they have anybody else that might be interested in doing it alongside them. Sometimes it's easier if you have a friend like on a similar process path. That's another great way to just like, you know, then they can share what they want to share about themselves. But it's like, hey, you know, we're going to be doing this in January. Like, do you know anybody else who wants to start the new year in a similar way? Like, we can do this as like a little group. Yeah. And then also, see you later. Thank you. Then also, you like leverage social for waitlists. Leverage it. Like, shout out people who are on your wait list for what they're already doing. Because it's like, okay, I'm sorry, if people are already getting like progress and they're not even starting with you until next quarter, like, dang, this person is on top of it. I want to be on that wait list. Yes, please. That I'll also sometimes like send surprise things to the wait list. And I'm like, hey, this thing's going to be dropping, you know, in a few months, but you get it first. Like, give me some feedback. What do you think of this? Just keep the relationship going with the waitlist people as much as you can, because they're a great, see you later. They're a great source. They're usually really excited. They want to talk about you. So like, play into that excitement and then ask them who else they know.
Hey, Wendy, did you have a question or were you waving goodbye?
I'm sorry, Jennifer.
Sorry, I was waving to Brian and then to Brandy as they left.
All right. Yay, waitlists. Okay. Also, waitlists are one thing that helps me with the aforementioned problem of not knowing how long things take. Is I felt a lot of weight off my shoulders once I knew I had a wait list available that I could like put people into and they would still get to hear from me and do that. I didn't feel as much pressure to like book them in right now. I don't know if anybody else experiences that, but I was like, okay, like, you are going to be taken care of. I am taking care of you, just like not in this exact moment. Okay. And that's all I have for you. So if you want to keep in touch, the main place that I hang out is on TikTok because I like to talk. But the one limitation of TikTok is you can't DM people on TikTok unless you mutually follow each other. So I use Instagram for DMs. Feel free to send me an email. This is my website. And then I have a brand new freebie that just came out today. And they are my, well, that's awkward, email templates. So these are email templates for the awkward things like breaking up with a client. Let's say you're pivoting and you're offering new services. Let's say somebody hasn't paid. There are templates in there for that. They are formatted for Dubsado, so they have like directions about what Dubsado smart fields to put in where, but you certainly don't have to use them with Dubsado. You can just, you know, take out where it says put the first name and put somebody's first name in there. They're not super sophisticated in that way. But if you'd like to grab them, I would love for you to have them. But that's all I have planned for you. Does anybody have any questions or anything you want to chat about here at the end?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I think we were talking, and I think this also kind of helps lead into some of what, you know, your lead magnet probably talks about. But like, if you were just getting started with having email templates, like, where would you like start with that?
Like, if I was going to be creating them for myself, what would I templatize first?
Yeah, what would I template? Yeah, what would you templatize first? Like, what would you?
The thing that I waste a lot of, I would start by thinking about, where do you waste time? Or because you're staring at like a blinking cursor. For me, that is those after meeting like summary follow-up emails. I just don't like writing them. So it takes me forever. So having that template saves me the time, because then I'm like, okay, you know, here's like the general overview of the call is always the same. I know I need to fill in 3 bullets and put in their due date and then send it. So that's how I would look at it, is like, what do you not want to write? And just like bite the bullet once, make the template, and then it's just done. If you are somebody who doesn't feel that way, and you're just like, I just want to start with some templates, I don't have a particular pain point, I would templatize your confirmation and reminder emails that come out after someone schedules an appointment, and then anything attached to an invoice. So if it's an upcoming invoice and it's due today, or if it's past due. Yeah, thanks for asking.
So I think I would start with my welcome sequence. Because when someone joins my list, I want them to slowly, right, like drip out information about ways that they can work with me, ways to get to know me, because I want to build my know, like, trust factor as they're waiting for the next thing that I drop, or my next blog post, or whatever. So I would start there.
Yeah, for sure. If we're going on the email marketing side, yes. I was thinking more like CRM-y.
That's what I was referring
Yeah.
to, was client emails versus, you know, nurturing emails. But yeah, I mean, they're both obviously good priorities, but
yeah.
So Max, for you, I think I would go into, like, look at all of the emails that you've sent me in the past 6 months about how you and I have talked about working together, like, and templatize those, like, start with what you've already done, and either like buff them up or make them more templatized, right? With, like Elaine was saying, like just bullet points, or like insert pricing here, or insert, you know, personalized message at the beginning, right? Or whatever. But yeah, I'd go back to like the emails that you've already written and start there.
Yeah. Other questions, thoughts? Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. That's one of the things too that I like. Now I'm like, I need to join Freelance Exchange, because like we just learn so much more from each other. I know that sounds obvious, but that was a big reason why I stopped teaching, right? Is I realized very quickly my favorite part about teaching math was like learning math together in a community. And then once we went virtual, that was gone. And I was like, this is not for me. Like, we just hear so much more when people have questions or ideas or whatever. So like, it's awesome. And I have to shout out Amber, because she's the person that gets me out of my house. Amber knows where all the good events are.
I try. I have a question about your waitlist stuff. So I have never done a waitlist before, because I don't have boundaries and I just say yes to everything.
Sure.
So whenever someone is put on your wait list, number one, do they put down a deposit? And
Yes.
number two, how long, like, are they choosing to be on the wait list? Like, hey, I can't start until November 1st. Or is that you saying, I'm full, I can get you in next? What does that look like?
I see what you mean. Usually my experience with clients is they want it done yesterday. I don't know if anybody else can relate to that. So occasionally, I think one time someone was having a baby, and so they wanted a later start date, but usually it's like, can you start, you know, right this second? So it's usually me saying my next available is, and I actually force myself, because now I've like timed it out to like the hour, how long it's going to take versus my available time on the calendar. So like before I even get on a sales call, I know what my next available date is for whatever the service is. And so then I offer that to them, right? And like, my next available is whatever. If you want to secure that date, then, you know, here, I'll send over a proposal contract invoice with the deposit. As soon as I receive the deposit, it's yours. One thing I learned the hard way was that I need to put expiration dates on proposals. All of mine are good for a week, because then I have to know if that date's available. Like, that's really the issue. Like, I had somebody come back to me with pricing on a proposal that I had sent a year ago, wanting that same price like today, let's say. And I was like, okay, so that's another reason to have an expiration date on a proposal. But I do 7 days because I manage my calendar like that. Like, I just need to know, are you taking that spot, or can I offer it to someone else? And then yes, it is a deposit to be on the wait list. Because also the way I see it is like, I'm providing a level of service to you while you're on the list also. So if someone were to get, you know, to the point and then they're like, nope, I found somebody who can do it sooner and they want to terminate. Okay, but I don't, you know, the deposit stays with me because you have received something. Also not a lawyer. I don't know if that's legal. That's just how I think about it. So please don't take this as legal advice. No.
Have you implemented, Elaine, the Debsado calendar, or do you
Yes,
have?
I have. Do you want to hear the
that
good, bad, and the
direction.
ugly about it?
Yes, please. That would be
Okay.
awesome.
I can't tell who's talking though. Is that okay? I don't know. Sorry,
Me.
there you are. Hi, Elizabeth. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I don't know. Okay, so the good thing. The thing I like about the Debsado scheduler is it allows my other workflows to take action based off of those appointment dates. So, you know, for example, like my follow-up email, let's say, my workflow knows that after the phase 1 call, this phase 1 email needs to be queued up. I really like it for that. I like that I can have as many different appointment types as I like with no additional fee. That's fantastic. My biggest gripe about it is if a client reschedules their appointment, they do not get reminders of that appointment, which hasn't been a huge issue, but I don't love that. I do not love that. The scheduler is something they are claiming that they're working on right now. So I'm hoping it'll be fixed soon, but it's been in beta for the past 2.5 years. So
Right.
that's like the big drawback in my mind. I like that it integrates with Zoom so that automatically, you know, I have like the client's name on the Zoom call. Like that's fantastic. I like it, but you know, if you use Calendly or something, I would not like say you must switch. It's that good. Like it's fine.
Cool. Yeah, because I've been with Debsado for a while, and I just haven't implemented all the little things with the workflow system yet. So I'm gauging up little by little because I want to make sure that they're stable and that
Absolutely.
you know, all that testing and making sure things go the right times and places and all the time zones and all that. It's like kind of freaks me out a little bit. So
yeah, I can understand that. I will say that, you know, I have international clients that are like based in Asia and there have been no problems, like even with the date change, like Debsado can handle it. So that part of it does feel good. It's really that reminder part that I don't love.
cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
of course. Any other questions, anything, or just things people want to share?